fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
So here we are, a track upstate of New York, Watkins Glen. The second round of the championship here in the Simworx Roadster Rumble as the challenge of a whole slew of very, very fast Mazda MX-5s becomes again our ground of battle to work with today. It's a track which has a lot of elevation change, a whole heap of a lot of opportunities to make overtakes happen. It's here with us on SimSpeed TV. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name's Jake Sperry, Cameron Dance alongside with me for the ride once again. And Cam, nowhere better really than Watkins Glen. This is a track which continuously looks to prove up shock and intrigue again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, really cool track, especially this classic layout where you've got a lot of straights, not many corners. It's all about keeping up the momentum in these things and making sure you're not losing any sort of time or losing any sort of momentum at all, because it's going to cost you massively here where you're going to be losing not just tenths but multiple positions.
Every position does indeed matter, and especially when you're running this layout, the classic layout of the circuit here, just 7 turns, no chicane before the outer loop. It is purely built for the element of overtaking, and it's that element which I'm sure will be exercised today. The track opened in 1953. They used to run it the other way around when it first began, but this version with the 90 up the S's section into the outer loop through 6 through 7 to end the lap outright, I'm sure is going to be a real treat here today. So focus is definitely going to be there. Here's how the championship looks. 4 points the gap at the top for Sonny Kanchin, who leads this one outright, 192 to 188. Tom Huggan in second, and then you got 4 to the dance in the tie for third. Russell, Proctor, Harrison, and Hansford Taylor, all with their work cut out. And this is a track where you could arguably say here, Cam, anybody's got a chance.
Yes, certainly. You could say anyone has a chance at this sort of track, even from anywhere further back as far as 20th if they all work together. So it's going to be a real lottery as to what happens tonight and where you may or may not end up, especially with the fact we've got 3 races and no pit stops to possibly throw a little bit of extra into the mix.
And we will certainly see. This is your AM Championship, a tie at the top between Caleb Patterson and Lucas Mikulev, both on 196 points. They've got 4 over Brenton Bull. There's also a tie down there for Carl Godger and Neil McKenzie, as well as Darren Linus and Ben Ferguson there in ninth positions, you could both say. So a lot to work out. Here's how the race is going to work out today. We've got 2 20-minute races and then a 20-minute progressive grid that will come along for race number 3. Qualifying today is 10 minutes long with 2 solo laps in qualifying. Expect those laps to go by in the blink of an eye. This is going to be a quick blast around this track, and one that I'm sure I'm going to be alert for. And we're already a couple minutes through. Sonny Kanchin in control at the moment. 1.5 tenths clear of Lee Harrison at this stage, but at least right now here, looks like everyone's just trying to get themselves into a good position to start. The one thing you don't want to be is out of position over the course of these races, Cam, and we have understood this more than other series, that track position, yes, you can make moves, but you don't want to be trying to make moves over the course of a race today. You're trying to just make sure that you are in the picture and in the hunt to be in that lead pack, as it inevitably will do today, splinter out between the groups.
Yeah, you're going to want to set yourself up to be as far forward as you possibly can, and then set yourself up over the course of the race to be in that position, so that come the final lap, you're going to be able to put yourself in a really, really good position and get your moves done to get yourself into the lead of the race and hopefully winning the race if everything goes to plan. So it's going to be very, very critical to make sure you qualify near the front of the field, and also making sure that you can pull off moves and time your moves very, very well so that you don't lose any time to anyone around you.
And making that time, here's Sonny Kanchin making that drive over towards the line in the WBT car. And that is a 1:23.394, so able to find a little bit more. I think they're going to recorrect to a 4:11 with that sort of time. So really is starting to find an element where everyone else maybe isn't. There's Richie Domingo looking to make some progress here, charging over towards the line. Let's see what sort of time Richie can do. And crossing, it is going to be a 26.6. Now, it is surprising to see that much time really being unable to be found today. This is a track where you don't really have too much that you're aware of actually places to lose time. So what's the real key to keeping a time pretty much on the straight and narrow around this place today, Cam?
Well, in these slow MX-5, obviously the lack of power is one of the main things that really makes it hard to get the lap time, because when you're speaking in terms of not only hundreds and thousands, but also very few tenths, it's not a lot in it. That could be the difference between 5% extra throttle, getting on the throttle that much earlier or getting on it that much later, and it really is paying dividends for those who are actually getting on it that much earlier, or being able to carry that much more momentum through the corner and not slowing themselves up and using so much brake into the corners as well. So those who are keeping up the momentum and making this car work through the turns are really doing quite well today.
Certainly are. Glen Wood is one of them, as Bard Rodkin begins to dive down towards the pits and the end of maybe some runs out there. There is Ray Harrison looking to make a charge forward. Is a little bit down at the moment in terms of time, 25.3 at this stage in the rookie category out there overall. So we'll see where that's going to be. That's a 28 flat, so time is not going to improve as we go through. Brandon McMillan, 1:15 out there, is also searching for a bit of a lap, heading through this back section towards turns 6 and 7 on track. These two 90-degree sweepers. If you didn't get it done into the right, that's probably your last chance at the saloon. Go through 6, go through 7, that's right, which does leave very close to the tyres. Oh, that's going to clip it, and that's going to be a 0x. So looks like Brandon McMillan's lap ultimately there, Cam, ends up in Nowheresville.
Yeah, he's only going to start best of 20th at this stage, or I should say worst of 20th at this stage, sitting at 20th in the qualifying order. Marty Turner comes across the line, though, having finished all his laps. It would have been a 23.618, so he's definitely put himself up the pointy end in today's race, and he should be on for a pretty good result and probably in contention for a win or two.
So we all see that Jamie Willits is making his way through turn 6 as well here in the 44, just pushing a bit wide, and that's a bit too wide there, grabbing the grass and scuttling on through that to try and get that all sorted. So that's going to be a little bit of a shame there. Only Lee Harrison and Jamie Willits are out there on track who could eligibly do a lap, but you can see Lee Harrison's time there ever so briefly was there for about 3.5 minutes on that sort of lap. So I think Lee Harrison's stuck on a 23.5 potentially out there overall, which is still good enough there for 5th position on the grid. You can see a tie in times for 3rd and 4th positions, Aaron Russell and Aaron Oliver, and it's the battle of the Aarons then on row 2 with one Aaron with an E, one Aaron with an O, just to make Aaron a very, very difficult name to try and get correctly. But ultimately, over the line goes Lee Harrison. Not much doing, but that's everyone done then. When it comes to qualifying, Marty Turner's getting those practice laps in as he sets another little go around trying to get a feel for what this circuit is all about. So what we can do is run ourselves down through the grid to see how they're going to stack up then here today. And it is going to be confirmation that Sonny Kanchin, 123.411, will be in the pole position with Glen Wood alongside for company Aaron Russell and Aaron Oliver, make it an all-Aaron second row of the grid with Lee Harrison in 5th and Todd George in 6th position overall. Wayne Losh starts in 7th position with Marty Turner in 8th. Matthew Hansford-Taylor going from 9th with Brody Cook in the 69 car rounding out the top 10.
Then you're going to have Damien Seeger followed by Moz Moroz on row 6. Row 7 is going to be the first of your Rams with Simon Smith and Lucas Stasi on row 7. Row 8, Ashley Norman and Tob Huggin with Lucas McAleef and Steve McMahon on row 9. And then over the page to row 10 is going to be Neil McKenzie and Brandon McMillan.
It absolutely is. And then you look over here, Joel Proctor a little bit down the order with Mark Foster in 22nd, Brenton Bull and Caleb Patterson there. Your leader in AMS with Philip Paradiso and Luke Claver occupying row 13. There'll be Anthony Connors and Dave Gogol in the 14th row with Mark Johnson and Bard Rodkin making up the 30.
Then just outside of the 30 is going to be Jesse White-Curring, followed by Graham Ellis, Jamie Willits and Matt Van Egmond going to line up on row 17 with Darren Sharp and Tony Vasilis on row 18. Row 19 going to be Terry Knowles and Joshua Maynard with row 20 rounded out by Darren Lilness and Greg Holmes and Stephen Falkins, Lockie Haverkamp, and the rest on your screen. Rounding out this very, very large screen, larger grid, I should say, of 48 cars.
It is a very large field today, and all 48 are looking to try and get as much as they can out of this challenge. They know that these first 15 laps or 15 minutes, whichever comes along first in this race, I'd assume 15 minutes is going to be what will get itself going first. It's going to be an interesting one to see how they figure out this battle. So, what can you do at this point in time? They know that they've got some quick drivers in and around and everywhere, and that positioning is going to be key in the early going. Sonny Kanchin gets himself up onto the grid, and you see the last stragglers drivers get themselves ready. Let's get ourselves into play then. First race then of tonight will start itself up right around now. Glenwood a little bit slow to the get-go as they get themselves going. They charge over towards the 90. Aaron Russell, you can see already trying to make a move to the left-hand side of the circuit as they will dive into this slingshot-style corner. Kanchin with a pretty good get-go to get the start going, but as they fan out nice and wide, it's a nice clean start as they make that run up the hill. You can see there one of the chicken up cars in a really good battle. Hansford Taylor on the outside now, trying to look through 3 on Brody Cook, and is going to try and make that switch as they go in towards this section, or immediately at the race lead. Kanchin finding no friends as Aaron Russell pushes here. Glenwood in the Wolfchester's car up towards the lead, and here comes the power play through the middle. Look at this for a challenge.
Yeah, Aaron Oliver straight through the middle on the way down towards the carousel, but he's going to lose out, not quite going to be able to get past Aaron Russell and Glen Wood, but he's at least going to get into third currently with a bit of pushing from Lee Harrison behind. Sonny Kanchin looking everywhere, but now Aaron Oliver looking up the inside of Aaron Russell on the way into turn 6. Going to get that move done very, very nicely, and Wood nearly running a little bit wide, and Russell just poking his nose out, decides to think better of it for the time being. A little bit of fighting going on just in behind as well between Turner and George, with Turner making his way on by into now the top 6.
Yeah, and that top 6 is going to be crucial. You can see a massive train as they charge towards it. Goes all the way back to about Damien Seeger in 12th position right now. And everyone's going to be there looking. Micallef as well in a battle at this point in time, with the likes of Tom Huggan trying to make progress through Lucas Starcy. You can put in there as well. But again, up the front, they have to be organised as they go through this section. You've got Russell there, Oliver, Glenwood, your leader, Lee Harrison and Sonny Kanchin side by side. Marty Turner might want in as well. So now they're going to start trying to fan out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all there. You've got to cover every angle and every lane. It's 3 wide as they make that charge again. 3 wide again as they look forward. It's all about finding a lane through this carousel section, the outer loop. Very easy to get yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they know as well here, Cam, one wrong move, the entire house of cards just falls apart as Hansford Taylor looks to push 3 wide on the run to 6.
Yeah, one small mistake is going to back everyone up, and it's going to possibly end in a little bit of tears as well because of the massive check-up that's going to end up happening for a few drivers. So you have to be very, very careful here. But side by side, Oliver and Kanchin. Kanchin's going to get up the inside. Russell thinks about it as well. He's going to compromise himself. Now Harrison just in behind Aaron Oliver, going to give his teammate a push on the way down towards turn 1. Marty Turner as well looking up the inside of Aaron Russell. Matthew Hansford Taylor going to go around the outside. 3 wide, nearly 4 wide on the way into turn 1. A little bit of argy-bargy going on, but they've all come out the other side in one piece. Still 3 wide, and the more checking going on.
Oh, and a little bit of a look there as well. And checking backwards now will be the likes of Moz Moroz in this point in time. Knew he had a chance, but couldn't quite make it happen. Marty Turner knows that he had to be aggressive there on that inside and made it happen, and it's 2 wide as they go back to the likes of Joel Proctor, Steve McMahon and co. They're all there. Stasi and Huggan going for it, and now for the lead again, this time Sonny Kanchin with a good run to the inside. He is Mr. 9K out there on track, and he's going to be looking for some more great results. And now Aaron Oliver trying to search for a lane, but the lane isn't quite opening up then in the early goings. That's a nice little bit of gearbox as we charge in towards turn number 6. They all try and find that single file line. It gives them a look maybe at 7 and off of the exit.
Yeah, they've all sorted themselves out quite nicely. Now Glenwood over the inside curve at the final corner, though. That's compromised his run a little bit as there's drama further back with a few drivers ending up in the fence.
Oh, and that's a big one. 1, 2, 3. Diving in for 1 turned around. That's Lucas Starcy there getting caught up in that instant. Then the AM in all sorts of trouble. And we're talking about it. You don't want an incident from the group. Brody Cook caught up. So too many Cooks maybe the cause of issues there. But they still stay as they are at the front. But it's as simple as one small hit gets the entire train going. And it looked like it was Cook's initial issue there that really did cause a whole heap of trouble in that one. So we look at Marty Turner, it was Brody Cook and Simon Joel Smith, I believe, was having a little look there in that as well. Ashley Norman, I think, was a driver caught up as Hansford Taylor finds himself looking around. But again, another little change as they go through this stage. They know this is a race that they can't afford to sit on their laurels and wait for. Fight for third. Still on as Kanchin gets dropped all the way back now to 4th position. Second little group. having their scrap right now. Look at this as they charge through in towards 6 and 7 here, Cam. They know that time's of the essence. And here comes another little look as, again, it's Aaron Russell trying to get a line here with Marty Turner. Got to pick your friends here.
Yeah, you certainly do have to pick your friends here, and obviously Kenshin not really having too many at the moment with the fact that he's not really getting any help from anybody, and at the moment he's holding up the rest of the pack behind him, and everybody else from there on back, from the likes of Sega and co, are all starting to close on in. But now here we go up the hill on the inside of Aaron Russell is going to be Marty Turner. He's going to want to try and make something work, but that train led it by Sonny Kenshin, and even Lee Harrison, who's not too far up the road, they'll end up catching back up by the time they get to the carousel. Matthew Taylor also trying to get something done here, but he's got no draft going on, and currently Russell and Kenshin working together to try and catch this pack just at the end.
Oh, and a big hit to the back of Kenshin there, going through. That's going to wash out Aaron Russell. Hansford Taylor finds a way through, and now you're going to get the likes of Losh and Turner and Moroz all there. They form two packs. Norman in the second group right now as they remain too wide for the lead. Harrison trying to help Oliver out here in this run through the left, but ultimately it's Glen Wood who does pretty much enough to hold on to it at this point in time. They know they've not got long left, and positioning's going to be key as Hansford Taylor puts himself lovely on the back of Kanchin. Every point matters in a series like this. You have got to be alert, and you can see here how these drivers, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them at this point in time, all want to figure that they're in the best possible place. Kanchin again having to go too wide. Hansford Taylor wants to be aggressive here as they start to slowly lean, and there's troubles on the exit of the 19. Neil McKenzie caught up and involved. It looks like the commitment cone, is going along for a ride with Anthony Connors.
Yeah, it's attached itself to that front bumper that is now loose on Connor's car. 3 wide for the lead, though, is now Harrison going to be left to hang out dry on the outside, and Glen Wood nearly swiping across the back bumper. Aaron Oliver's going to look up the inside, but he's not quite going to get past Lee Harrison. He's going to get the inside of Glen Wood, though, as they're going to come out of the carousel. Now, this secondary pack of Kanchin, Hathens, Taylor, Russell, Turner, and also the other car of Wayne Losh, all now in this lead fight.
They absolutely are. Losh has got to try and find some places, as does everyone else. Wood checking up a little bit the train as they go through, and now they're going to fight on the exit. Look at Russell trying to find some room here against Matthew Hansford Taylor. Had to really back out of it then through that penultimate section into the final corner. This is another one of the keys here today. You're not going to be able to run full throttle for the majority of this race. You're going to be sitting up, checking up, waiting for the right place to go through. If you want to start making some moves here, now's the sort of time with about 6 minutes to go. Get yourself into play. The last place you want to be is in 9th position, and someone's got to be there, and if you are, you're only hoping that you're going to find a wreck. Lee Harrison, your leader as things stand.
Yeah, it's all about patience at this point. If you're someone like Wayne Losh or Marty Turner, or someone who's a little bit further back, even Aaron Russell, for example, at this stage, just biding your time and waiting for what's going to possibly unfold in front of you is going to be not too bad of an idea, especially in these last few minutes before you start to hurry things up and set yourself up for a final push right on that last 2 laps or so, as Glen Wood's going to move to the lead of this race once again. Sonny Kenshin going to get hung out to dry by Aaron Oliver, but the momentum on his side, using that high line through the carousel, is going to give him some overspeed, and he's going to look up the inside of Glen Wood as they're going to head down towards turn 6. Aaron Oliver pokes his nose and nearly makes it 3 wide. He's up the inside of Glen Wood, but he's not quite going to get the momentum, or is he? There's a bit of a straight tension in there, and there's a big crash.
A huge one for Wayne Losh. Everyone's going to scatter, and Loshy is not going to look like he's got a car that is on its sell-by date. He'll have to go down to the pits after that heavy hit, and that is as quickly as it can go wrong here as they fight Aaron Russell, now into 3rd position with all of that. You got Wood now in 4th, Harrison back down to 5th, Hansford Taylor in 6th, Turner 7th, and Moroz in 8th place, trying to hold on to the train as they go through. Kanchin as conductor at this point in time as they go up through, and again, Hansford Taylor and Harrison side by side, and they're going to have to be alert here all the way to the right-hand side. Here comes the Aarons as they look to go through. It is Oliver, then Russell, as they charge by Kanchin, and here will come Glenwood as well to the outside and making the power move, going through. Wonderful little look as he tries to get it forward, but is it sorted on the exit? For the time being, you bet it is. He'll have the tow as well as they run all the way to 6 and 7.
Yeah, he nearly got around the outside. If he got 2 for 1, it would have been very impressive. But up the inside of Aaron Russell with a very, very slick move from Glen Woods. That moves him into second. Once again, Hansford Taylor and Sonny Kanchin side by side on the way down into the final corner. Same with Marty Turner and Lee Harris nearly being doors in the process as well. But Hansford Taylor's going to win out over Kanchin, and Lee Harrison just going to edge over Marty Turner.
Just about, and it's starting to build that gap up ever so slightly. As they run through almost 3-1 in the background, Turner lunging in, trying to get somewhere with Lee Harrison, not finding it right now. But again, they will crest the rise on their 9th revolution of this circuit, knowing they do not have long to go. There is Aaron Russell trying to get himself best placed. Glen Wood with the lead. You have to be aggressive now, and you got the likes of Hansford Taylor, who's been meticulously working up through the groups, trying to figure out if there's a way through. 3 bits of bumping that very nearly spun the train around. Kanchin gonna go through the middle now, trying to get back to the lead. He knows how aggressive he needs to be, and as he threads the needle, he has to only get by Glen Wood, who covers it off through the big right-hander of the outer loop. But again, they will look to settle and try and find an angle to attack here. Oliver with a really good run. He's going to make a power move now over to the inside, trying to get it 3 wide. They go into turn number 6. Kanchin having to really back off of it. He's now shuffled way down the pack. He's down in 6th place now.
Yeah, got shuffled out massively there to Kanchin, but not a bad thing at this stage. I did wonder if he maybe had done himself there with the fact that he was in the lead, but we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen in these last 2 laps, as it's going to be popsicle sticks in at the air this time. Glen Wood doesn't decide on a move on Aaron Oliver for the lead, but it's all on, and someone's just popped an engine in the background. Marty Turner.
Yeah, it's Marty Turner, who's just been too aggressive there, going through the gears, and especially when you're running in drafts like this, the high temperatures that the engine does get, it is easier to pop it. So we're down to 7. They've got traffic in front as well now as they go on through. Oliver, Wood, here comes Hansford Taylor, 3 wide on the stretch. Kanchin and Harrison side by side in the background as well. But Matthew Hansford Taylor wants to make a move and wants to get to the point. So too does Aaron Russell on the outside. He's trying to make a move up to 3rd. And now it gets very interesting, doesn't it, here, Cam? They know they've got themselves about 1 lap left to go as they cross the line. They know they can't afford to sit by idly and wait. The draft there of Harrison just in front is going to really make things awkward for them. No opportunities to attack then on this attempt forward.
No attempt this time around, but everybody's going to be trying to set themselves up for not only the run down towards Carousel, but the run to turn 6 as well. Everybody single file to the start of this final lap. Barney's got the white flag in the air, so this is going to be very, very intense, and it's going to be all about who's going to be probably the 3rd or 4th car in line rather than the 1st.
Oh, I agree. The last place you want to be is where Glen Wood is right now. He knows he's got an unenviable task starting this final lap. Hansford Taylor and co. all there. The group behind, by the way, Joel Proctor's had a fantastic race up through, but you got Seeger and George and Mikulev and McMahon and co. They're all going to be there trying to find those battles, but Hansford Taylor's making the move now over to the left-hand side of circuit. He wants to try and get it. Russell not knowing where to go. Oliver's going to try and push to the outside now. Kanchin knows he's got to make a move. Kanchin goes all for the grass, trying to find a way through. He's trying to manufacture some space there on that inside. That is so brave and dangerous. At the same time, there goes Lee Harrison. He spins off into the wall. Not sure if there was contact or not there. Matthew Hansford Taylor now with control, but it leads to Aaron Oliver, to Aaron Russell, to Kanchin there in 4th position, who was uberly aggressive, trying to make the pass. Here comes the look to the inside, and there's the contact. Hansford Taylor goes. Kanchin coming up Millhouse as they go through, but here comes Glen Wood to the inside. The outside line from Sonny Kanchin. It pays to be bold, doesn't it? He's going to steal one here in race number 1. tonight.
Fifth car in line, bear in mind at the start of the final lap as well, when all that it took was just avoiding the carnage in front of him, and that is a win.
It is a win. It doesn't matter how they come along. It's a big win that you definitely have to deal with. And, you know, you can't really argue too much around it. That was a very comprehensive result as we see the rest of the battles coming towards the line. But incredible finish, and they're limping it home. It's Lee Harrison there. That smash to the back certainly did not help. The car completely crossing over on himself as he tried to go through. So he will make it to the line. Will he be pipped to the post? No, he won't. But that would be a shame. It will be a long road back then from that point onwards. So these drivers understand that they've got themselves a little bit to go here in this race. And there's the confirmation of results. Sonny Kanchin by 0.3 of a second over Glen Wood, able to pick up the victory with Aaron Russell rounding out the podium. It's Moz Moroz who picked up fourth, with Aaron Oliver in fifth. Joel Proctor finishing off in sixth place, about 5 seconds back. Great drive from the 101, with Damien Seeger in seventh and Todd George eighth. It will be Lucas Mikulev in ninth and Steve McMahon rounding out the top 10.
Then you're going to have Brenton Bull in 11th. Ashley Norman comes home in 12th. Luke Claver, and then Mark Foster and David Gogol in to round out the top 15, with Jesse White Carriage in 16. Jamie Willett comes home at 17th. Philip Paradiso, Graham Ellis, and then Matthew Hansford-Taylor to round out the top 20. A race of what could have been for Hansford-Taylor being in contention for the win.
Yeah, definitely a what could have been. Darren Sharp there, 21st, and immediately we're going to have to move over here towards the race, because we got that second race of 15 laps coming up for you, ladies and gentlemen. They know once again that it's going to be a quick turnaround here with the way it works, and it'll be the same grid as the results that you have on screen. They know that they want to be very quickly in on this. They want to be alert. They want to find the right result here today. And if they can do exactly what is needed, then today might just be for them. Have they got the right result in their back pocket? They know this is going to be a long day. And as the lights will start to go on, time waits for no man and waits for no woman either. We are green. We are go here as they take this challenge in race number 2 tonight. And they are well aware of what is ahead. Kanchin with a good start as they go in towards turn number 1. Someone there just grazing the wall there on the outside going in towards turn number 1. And there's going to be someone going all the way around. 2 in trouble there at the back.
Yeah, a couple getting into unfortunate moments there in the further back part of the field. Terry Knowles, Stephen Fawkes, and a few others. Anthony Connors included in that list.
Yeah, so troubles there in the mid to late pack as they all charge up the hill already. The battles will begin for the race lead as Glenwood will once again look to push towards the front. You can see that group starting to form back a little bit, and if you're going to be in that leading 6, 7, 8 once again, well, now's the time to get yourself into play as they charge through the outer loop then for the first time. A slew of 2 wides going through, the likes of Brenton Bull on the outside searching. You've got right now Lucas Mikulev having a good run. Joel Proctor up there in P number 6, but it is going to be controlled as this stage as they will run in towards turn number 6. They know that it's not the easiest day to go out there and to have the biggest and strongest result. And so calm needed in the opening couple of laps just to sight yourself on where you need to be moving forward over around lap 4, 5, 6, which is pretty much the money laps.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to be being aggressive early on. Obviously, if you're down the order, you want to try and get some moves done, but the better thing to do is just be patient, be mindful. And there's a big shunt further back with a number of drivers involved in that one out of the final corner.
Oh my goodness, and it has caught out a good 5 or 6 and would have been the last thing that those drivers would have been really wanting. Carl Godger, Tony Vaselis, John Thorne, Wayne Losh, Caleb Patterson all caught up. Rodkins, Van Egmond in trouble, Maynard in trouble as well. All of them there, and look at this for the lead. It's 3 wide once again. Kanchin with Russell and with Wood, and they're all going to be there. Oliver as well, trying to go for it here as they search around the outside. It is Glenwood in control. Oliver second. Kanchin just about moving up to second on that outside line as they run towards 6. And they know it's not going to be an easy one. They've got that group going all the way back here to Ashley Norman, who, of course, had his moment which took him away from the group. Side by side again as they go through 6. It's only going to check up the train a little bit more here, but Glenwood's covering it off. Wood likes leading these races. Someone's got to do the work, and they can see Hansford Taylor behind trying to charge back through the pack.
Yeah, you can see him trying to make his way back through the field after having to start all the way down in about 20th place. He's already up a handful of positions already. He's up into the top 15, so he's just got to keep doing what he's doing, making his way forward, as it's all about what happens in that final race. To set himself up is what he wants to do rather than worry about what's happening in this race.
Absolutely, there is Lee Harrison. That's a slow car there on the exit. Might just be leaving the pits there potentially through, and there you can see the number 3 of Ashley Norman side by side with Luke Claver as they make the run through. Now just in front of that, it's getting a little bit dicey. You can see there Kanchin was trying to angle for a lane to give himself room. Now he went super aggressive in race 1 on the final lap to get himself where he needed to be, and all of a sudden he finds himself fighting for 5th place. There's a big move from Joel Proctor. Tries to come in, but Proctor's got to get back into line. Almost contact there between Glenwood and Aaron Oliver, who leads this field outright. So you really have to be careful. This is the sort of racing, Cam, that you have to know exactly what the dimensions of your car is.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're going 2 and 3 wide, pretty much every single corner, you need to know where to position your car and how much room you can afford to give, because it's going to end in tears otherwise if you're not careful, that's for sure.
And that care is what we're going to continue to see as they move forward. Is there going to be any look of an overtake? Answer to that is no for the time being. In towards the 90, turn number 1. Gap opening up then to Damien Seeger. The front 5 looks like they're starting to get away here. So looks like Seeger then has a lot of work to get himself back onto this group. It's a slingshot effect. You've got to be within about 1.1 seconds to give yourself the chance. He brought that gap, and it was only through the final corner out to a second. And now here comes the 5 looking to challenge. How do you manage a way through? How do you figure where the overtake is going to come along? And nobody really, it's almost like Talladega at this point, pushed your partner around the circuit.
Yeah, it's pretty much like super speedway racing, just on a road course, more or less, with the fact that it's just all about bump drafting, working together with people, not rushing your moves too early on and playing your cards too early on as well, because it's one thing to make your moves early on, but then if you set yourself up too early, you're going to possibly end up with a bit of suffering on that very last lap, which we saw in the previous race for a few drivers. But side by side, Aaron Russell inside.
Jamie Willits there in the, very much damaged there in the gravel, and that looked like it was contact going through. And Dave Gogol, the rookie, getting caught up. There is Aaron Russell, who is on the back of the 59 of Sonny Kanchin, trying to make a run up the hill, give himself as much as he can. The group has brought itself back together again, so the work of Seeger and Moroz, the 2 teammates, Ashley Norman as well. You've got George, Micallef, McMahon, Hansford, Taylor, Foster and Claver all trying to scramble onto the group as well. It's a prolonged battle, and they'll go 3 wide for the race lead as they swarm around Wood. Kanchin on the inside, Oliver on the outside. And as they angle in through the long right of the outer loop, it is again that positioning. I'll tell you who is the quiet one to keep an eye out on. 101, Joel Proctor. He is certainly the drive to keep an eye on, as here comes another little look then as Moz Moroz, who's lost position there to Ashley Norman.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, Moz Moroz and I think Damien Seeger as well, both lost quite a bit of time in the last 2 laps or so when they made a mistake out of the final corner, but they're now back onto the train of the top 5, so they've managed to recover very, very nicely. And what they've done also is pretty much towed everybody that's within the top 15 on along to this battle for the top 5. So they're back in the fight and back with a chance, but they need to be a little bit careful here that they don't lose any more positions or have anybody hold them up for that matter.
Yeah, and it's those hold-ups that we see, those checkups. One small little checkup, and it's the same thing as you're on the freeway. Someone stops to look at the ambulance on the other side of the road. You can get tailbacks for miles, and it's these tailbacks that often cause a lot of anguish for not being able to find victories overall. The looks coming along again. They'll have a bit of traffic as well to deal with in front. The likes of Domingo, Gogol, Gudga, Thorn and Losh, who have all had to take those toes a key. 3 wide per second now as they go in towards the outer loop. And ultimately Aaron Russell's the one who loses out. And again, the chicken up car having to be forced to go too wide here. Cannot clear Mos Moroz. And this is costing the race here, because Proctor and Seeger have got themselves a bit of a gap here, and they're working quite nicely at this point as they enter turn 6.
Yeah, they've lost a little bit of time. Here's this secondary group that's led by now Ashley Norman. He's got that move done, so he's at least moved forward. There's a bit of drama in the background as well, involving a few cars by the looks of it.
And Claver in trouble. Going to drop way back there. And that's how quickly you can go from a hero to a 0 in a race like this, as he massively drops back there through that issue. And that was all because he lost the back end through turn 6. Full 360, kept it out of the barriers, and doing a great job. And that's Lee Harrison, who very nearly got caught up in that instant. He's there in 18th place, but as they run up and look to challenge here, there's a bit of side-by-side as Richie Domingo gives way. Every place mattering right now. And these front 4 fighting hard. Kanchin getting the push here from Russell. I think they fancy putting Kanchin on the front sooner rather than later, as they know that these 15 minutes are soon going to come up. Russell into the grass, and he is going to drop back 3, 4 down the train, maybe even 5 and 6. Matthew Hansford-Taylor's going to get by.
Yeah, Hansford-Taylor now already back into the top 10 and right on the tail of this lead group. Another place gain as a result of that mistake from Russell, who's going to be challenged by Todd George as well up the inside, but he's going to end up clearing him, so that's not going to be another position lost within that lap. But not what he will have wanted at all was that still going on at the front of this field, and still going on between Russell and Hansford-Taylor as well. But Hansford-Taylor going a little bit defensive, going to hold on to that position.
And Ashley is into the back, and there's the contact, and they're all going to scatter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in trouble as they all go through. Hansford-Taylor's caught up. 27 of Russell's in there as well. Looked like Seeger got a tap from Ashley Norman, and that's Norman's race done. And just like that, the front group completely wide open. 3 clear now of Mos Moroz in 4th. So it'll be Oliver, it'll be Wood, it'll be Kanchin. And one of these drivers is going to win this one. The other 2 on the podium unless they come together. And they've got to keep that pace up to keep everyone else behind out of any contention. And Wood going so aggressive. He had he had tyres over the curb.
Yeah, he's very much sent it hard up the inside. I actually thought there was going to be contact between the two of them, but luckily nothing untoward unfolding there, thankfully, so they're going to continue on their way. But they don't want to be doing that too much, as that's just going to cause Mos Moroz and everybody else behind to catch back up. So they want to try and work together here so they can build a little bit of a gap if they can, or at least avoid having the rest of the field catch up.
Yeah, and that is the key. If that rest of the field catches up, then they could be in a bit of trouble here. Moroz doing a great job. You've got Todd George there behind, Steve McMahon, Lucas Mikulev, and Mark Foster all there. They'll be challenging. 0.6 of a second the gap as they go through, and they know, again, they've only got a handful of laps. There's a lot of traffic here that they're coming up to shortly. That might just be what Kanchin wants, just to latch on to the back here, give himself just one little bit of defence to Oliver, to Wood, and to the crew that are trying to chase up onto the back. And you can see Moroz has done a really good job over this part of the lap to get himself into play. But here comes the charge again on the back stretch, and it's uphill all the way through this section. Aaron Oliver with Glen Wood giving a little bit of help there. It's going to move to the point through the right-hander of the outer loop and to the lead.
Yeah, he's going to get to the lead, although that might be very short-lived with the fact that Sonny Canchin is trying to get a bit of a draft and possibly set up a move here. Glenwood not quite going to have enough momentum or a draft for that matter, but he's going to challenge Canchin on the way through turn 6. He's going to hang it around the outside and he's going to be the inside for the final corner, and he's going to take that position off him. And now on the back of this train is Moz Moroz, so four-way battle is suddenly formed for this race lead.
Moz has timed it absolutely perfectly to get there. Todd George, you feel, might be slightly too far back. They're starting to tangle with the traffic as they go in towards the 90. Is this what Aaron Oliver was looking for? The lead now with the traffic to work with as they go up through the S's section. George now getting into position. This is going to be with 2 laps to go. So now you start figuring out, okay, where do I need to be? Figuring out where to make the passes. And positioning wise, I think these two at the front wouldn't mind Canchin going up to the point. Here comes the challenge then as they go through. It looks like Oliver's going to try and use the draft in front. Canchin forcing an angle to the inside as he did, of course, in race 1 to pick up the victory by making the move down there. But again, he's still having to leave the room as Glen would. And as they leave the room, they're going to cost themselves a little bit of time. Canchin's going to move up into second place, and Moroz again will just sit patiently and wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I probably wouldn't count out Todd George at this point either, with the fact he's now not too far off the tail of it. This train as Wood goes around and he's in the barrier.
That's the last thing you wanted to see. He was really fighting hard with Canchin. Just grabs the curb on the inside. Nothing you can do there. That is how aggressive you can be. 1 lap to go here around Watkins Glen. And it looks like, at least for the moment, it is Oliver, Canchin, Moroz, and then Todd George having a little bit of issues with Carl Goodgut there going by. So it looks like 3 to the dance then. They fight themselves up. Micallef and McMahon fighting as well for 5th and 6th positions overall at this stage. And Oliver here has a little bit of a gap at the front. There is Foster. Great drive from him so far. But it's about these leaders and how much they can close down in on Aaron Oliver. Moroz looking to make a challenge now for 2nd place. He's not quite alongside with Canchin to make a move stick. But on that inside, Canchin has it covered. 1 bit of traffic's going to peel off there on the left-hand side, the far left-hand side. You couldn't even see it on shot. And as they exit, 1 bit of traffic remains to get by. Oliver has timed that fantastically. The traffic came into play at the right moment. Canchin will try and do everything to get back here to Aaron Oliver, but I think it's going to be a bridge too far unless there's a lunge at the final corner. And Aaron Oliver's going to have to be alert to this here as they exit through 6 into 7. The charge towards the line. And Aaron Oliver, as he makes that push, is going to have just enough. He'll take race 2.
Yeah, only just managed to get that one in the end. Still going on further back for the minor positions. Lee Harrison's just going to miss out on getting the place off Glen Wood, with Tom Hogan going to be rounding out the top 10 in a drag race to the line between Luke Claver and Mark Johnson. And Johnson just going to lose out on that one in the end to Claver.
Yeah, really good race there. We saw some brilliant driving up through the field. Hansford, Taylor and Proctor racing their way for 31st and 32nd at this point in time. Well, 30th and 31st. They know that this is a long road back for them after the hits they've had. And there is the 44 of Willits losing out then to Paradiso for that place. So you see all throughout the field, every position matters. And we talk about a fine game here, Cam, in this series, about how points matter and every place matters. Keep yourself up in the front is to keep yourself in the title fight.
Yeah, 100%. This is a very, very competitive and close championship, so you really can't afford to have too many bad results, if any, really, especially with how close and competitive it is. So that result for someone like Matthew Hansford Taylor really is going to come back and hurt him later on in the championship, that's for sure.
Let's get confirmation of results then here from race number 2. We've got about 5 minutes before the feature 15 comes into play. Aaron Oliver then will have control of that victory, won by 0.08 of a second over Sonny Canchin, with Moz Moroz finishing off in third. Todd George got fourth, with Lucas Mikulev in fifth, the leading AM, with Steve McMahon in sixth and Mark Foster in seventh position. Glen would get eighth, and a big credit to Lee Harrison, who started all the way back in 30th place on the grid, still managed to get himself up into ninth. He brought Tom Huggan along with him on his charge up, 25th to 10th respectively.
Then you're going to have Brenton Bull coming home at 11th, Jesse White Carriage in 12th, Neil McKenzie, Luke Claver and Mark Johnson to round out the top 15. We saw the close finish between Claver and Johnson being a very, very close one indeed. Darren Sharp in 16th with Brody Cook, 17th, Graham Ellis 18th, Marty Turner 19th after a race of what could have been for him as well, rounding out the top 20, Lucas Stars.
Then we look down, 21st, Simon Smith, Wade McCulloch in 22nd. Then it's Brandon McMillan in 23rd, Lockie Haverkamp 24th. Then you got Aaron Russell, who fell down. Ben Ferguson and Terry Knowles there, 26th and 27th, with Josh Maynard, Ray Harrison, and Stephen Folks making 30.
Then you're going to have Matthew Hanson-Taylor coming home in 31st, 32nd, Joel Proctor and Ashley Norman in 33rd, Greg Holmes in 34th with Philip Paradiso in 35th, Jamie Willits 36th to be the final car on the lead lap. John Thorne in 37th as the first car on lap down. David Gogol in 38th with Carl Goodyear and Wayne Losh to round out the 40.
And then the final drivers all a lap down. Damien Seeger, Richie Domingo, Matt Van Egmond from lap 1. Same for Darren Linus, Caleb Patterson, Bard Rodkin, Anthony Connors, and Tony Vaselis. Someone's got to be last. 48th it is for him. But they know that the grid positions are again as they finished. It's all about, though, the final 15. Again, this field has been jumbled up once again in your Simworx Series Virtual Motorsport Roadster Rumble. And the understanding here, Cam, is that these packs open and close depending on how aggressive you fight. One instant we have seen the blue touch paper being lit is enough for a pack to go from 20 down to about 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've seen it go the other way as well, where it goes from 5 cars to 20 cars all of a sudden. So it's just incredibly close and shows how hard it is to get a breakaway, because one little mistake results in a massive effect that lasts for pretty much the entire race. And it's just going to continue to snowball for the entire race until something ends up giving, whether it be cars in the wall or something like that.
Final 15 minutes as well will be coming into play in about 2 minutes from now. Cam, question is going to be, how much more aggressive a driver's going to be? They know they've got no more races in the back pocket. They know they've got to leave every point they can on the table here in this third race. What do you do in this sort of situation when you say in and around the top 10 and you know that places are going to be very much a key to how you move up and get the results you want today?
I think it depends on who you are. If you're someone like Matthew Hanson-Taylor, you've just got to throw caution to the wind and try and move yourself as far forward as you possibly can. If you're someone like Aaron Oliver or Sonny Kanchan or even Mons Moroz, you probably want to be a little bit more conservative, because you know that you're going to score really, really good points if you get a decent result. It doesn't matter if you don't win or don't quite get a podium, you're still going to come away with some really good amount of points for the night's racing. So you've just got to think about the big picture really and think, do I need to risk it here, or do I just need to sit station and be a little bit more patient and then wait for when my time has come?
Yeah, and the patience factor has been a key one that we have seen time and time again. Who has got the element of patience on their side? That's been something that we've been keeping good focus on as we look around this Watkins Glen circuit. Really a track which, for all intents and purposes, has done pretty much everything, including the 6 hour of the Glen, which is often such a revered event, especially the virtual version in iRacing circles. But today, it's about that short layout. It's about the same track without the chicane that is used for NASCAR. NASCAR, of course, used the chicane. Track temp 33 degrees, winds from the southeast at 6 kilometers an hour. You'd say it's perfect conditions here, Cam, for racing.
Yeah, pretty much perfect conditions for racing here, with the track being reasonably warm but not too overly hot. So it's going to be some very, very nice driving for these drivers. And as a result, it's going to result in some very good racing that we've seen so far tonight. It's only going to get better.
Binding the flag man looked very excited when he threw that checkered flag. So we'll keep an eye out right now as we go over to that grid. You know how it's going to stack up. It's the same way as it did, of course, in race number 2. So Aaron Oliver will have the pole. Sonny Kanchin will be there in second, and Mosmoroz will line up in third. They've got a minute to get themselves gridded up and ready for this third race. And they are understanding that time waits for nobody. And the time is now. If they can get into place, into position, find what they need at the right time, today is the key. You can see that long look. They line up around the final corner here, and they are all there. They are all ready. Let's get going. Here from Watkins Glen. Here comes the charge and the challenge, and the green flag drops, and we are going here. Slow start from the second row of the grid. Todd George, that was, getting himself in a little bit of a muddle off of the start. That allowed then Mikolev to dive on through. It will allow the top two a pretty decent get-go as they charge up forward. No such dramas as they fly through turn number 1. It's been very conservative off of the starts then, and we've loved to see it here. And there's the big wreck's in the back. The big wreck is in the back. It's a huge accident. It's caught out 4 or 5, and you can see it's still going all the way up through into turn 2.
Yeah, a number of cars involved. A chicken up car, the likes of John Thorne, and a few others caught up in that one. Unfortunately, Ray Harrison, Stephen Fawkes, all caught up in that one.
They certainly are. And now to the front. Kanchin's got to be a little bit careful here. Moroz is there. Mikolev as well, trying to get into the action. In fact, Mikolev here up into third position on this opening lap. Glenwood back into play. You got George, you got Lee Harrison as well, who all wants in. Steve McMahon as well has been quiet. Mark Foster on top of that. Everybody in this leading train will want to get themselves in as they run into that second section of the track, turn 6. And very much it's a case of find your line. Wood trying to look to the inside now, and is going to make a good go of it here. And they're going to have to be aggressive here to try and get through. 3 wide on the exit almost, as Todd George thought about being greedy.
Yeah, he did think about a little bit about being greedy. Lee Harrison possibly looking for a move as well, but Moroz going to tuck them off, and that's contact between Todd George and someone else in the background. So George gets a number of positions in McMahon as well.
Yeah, a big issue. You can see Steve McMahon can't catch a break in this series, can he? Gets into a really good place. Lap 1, or end of lap 1, start of lap 2 contact. And that one, you can say, has gone straight up the wazoo. But at this point in time, there's the chicken up car trying to chase. Look at this second pack. Aaron Russell trying to make some progress here up through the groups. And he would definitely want to try and get himself in. He's back there in 21st, trying to pilot his way through the trains that give himself the best opportunity of attack.
Yeah, after that incident in race 2, he's found himself a little bit down at the order, and as a result going to try and recover his way forward as best as he can. Currently stuck in that paddle pack that is just outside the top 20, and it's all going on as well with everybody fighting for scraps and sheep stations.
Yep, every place mattering, and you can see drivers pushing a little bit on the curbs. Oh, and around. 2 in the back. Is that Aaron Russell who's just gone around? No, it's not. It's the 32 machine and the 101, Joel Proctor. What a shame that for him. Terry Knowles with the rejoin smashes Darren Linus, and Linus looks like the front's fallen off.
Yeah, it certainly does look very, very secondhand after that impact. Pretty heavy impact as well. I don't think he could have done anything about that, so really unfortunate there to be involved in that incident. That was of no fault of his own. A little bit of lap traffic as well for the leaders already with the car of Mark Foster.
John Thorne.
Thorne, sorry.
Yeah, and oh no, that is Neil McKenzie, the downshift aqua car. It's been a torrid night for him as well as they make that run through. Everywhere you look, they're trying to make passes, especially up forward. You can see the second group's 3 wide as they look to try and make that run in. And it's going to be the likes of Stasi there getting a good run. Simon Joel Smith's in there. Matthew Hansford Taylor's back in there as well. This second group, or second, third, fourth group, you could say now, the way it's splintering, all have a chance. Here's some side-by-side. Lee Harrison with the move on Mosmoroz. He's piloted away through. He's now up into 4th position. Remember how a race and a half ago, or a race and a third ago, I must say, he was 30th. He's now top 5.
Yeah, he's done very, very well to make his way forward, and that is Luke Claver off the road at turn 6. Contact between himself and someone else, didn't quite catch who it might have been, but he's ended up down in the order as a result of that contact and in the gravel.
Yeah, it's very easy to make that contact as Russell and the chicken up car. Oh, big one! And they're all going to scatter across the circuit. Somehow everyone else is going to get there. There's been secondary contact, and it's Aaron Oliver, of all people, the 70, in all sorts of trouble. So the leaders have had themselves an issue as they went through turn number 1. Oliver on the wrong side, and I am not quite sure who else got caught up. Was it the lap traffic maybe that was there?
I don't think it was. We'll have a look on the virtual racing school replay. I think it was just contact between himself and Lee Harrison on the way into turn 1, just braking a little bit too early, and Lee Harrison getting a little bit too early on the gas by the looks of it. Unfortunately, Russell Oliver seemed around, and everybody just piling on in, not having really anywhere to go. Brenton Bull being one of those cars, luckily a number of getting through, but that was very, very messy and very unfortunate for someone like Matthew Hansford-Taylor.
Yeah, no wonder Matthew Hansford-Taylor was very upset over the radio, and they're not supposed to have too much communication over that. But the reason why is that he'll feel that drivers didn't hold their brakes, and the moment there was a little bit of reversing, well, goodbye, good night, there it all went. So here's the 46 trying to fight hard. Mark Johnson, who's now in 6th place, mind you, trying to get through. Each driver has 2 fast repairs per race, so they have that to work with on top of that as well. And he's racing with Tom Huggan out there for 6th and 7th. 5 away at the moment. Mikulev in 5th. Harrison is 4th. Moroz now 3rd. And you got Kanchin and Wood 2nd and 3rd. One driver who has stayed out of trouble all of these 3 races long has been Sonny Kanchin. And this is why he's going to lead the championship by a good margin coming out of this race. Here comes the move on Glen Wood and the pack chasers.
Yeah, he's done very, very well to keep himself out of trouble all night long, and in both rounds so far as well as Sonny Kanchin. So he's going to have a very, very nice championship lead coming away from Watkins Glen and going into next week as well. So he'll be very, very happy with that. Meanwhile, Glen Wood is going to look up the inside of Kanchin on the way down towards turn 6. Moroz right tucked up in behind Sonny Kanchin, but not going to be making a move. The rest single file in behind them, being very, very cooperative, but it's 3 wide further back for the minor positions, all going off. You don't know who's going to come out of this one.
You don't. They funnel back into 2 wide, and they try and sort themselves out, and try and sort themselves out cleanly into position. Not an easy task to manage, but they did manage to do so just enough. They know that their race is just in front of them. They can only gain as many positions as they need. It looks like the 46 of Johnson in trouble. Big trouble. Front is absolutely caved in. And it looked like there was contact there through with Tom Huggan in towards turn number 1, who tried the outside. And ultimately, a big smash in the wall for car 46.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's going to have to tow that one back to the pit lane, and he's going to drop down the order as a result. Meanwhile, at the front, Glen Wood still continuing to pressure Sonny Kanchin for the lead of this race. Going to look to the inside on the way into the carousel, but Kanchin going to sweep around the outside like he's standing still and get the momentum as well on the exit. So he's going to have a little bit extra of an advantage on the exit of the carousel. Goes right to the right-hand side of the road to try and break the draft from Glen Wood, but those 3 and 4 all to nose to tail once again.
I wonder here in this sort of scenario how passive certain drivers are, as again this group behind with the KP Tech 161 machine and co are all going to be in there. So you got Maynard, you got Gogol, you got Ferguson, you got Losh. I will correct myself then. You got Paradiso in that 161. They're all in there and they're all fighting. You got Greg Holmes up there as well. He's 34th to 12th in this race. And a lot of these drivers who have seen incidents left, right and centre, they've just quietly worked their way up through the field. It's that sort of race today where you can gain a whole heap of places there. Barney just adjusting his cap up top. Oh, no. That's not good for Bard Rodkin.
Yeah, that's not good at all. That car looks very, very wounded on that left front. Richie Domingo involved in as well in that incident. So something's gone on between those two there as they're both well off the road. Thankfully, so no anybody going to get caught up in that incident any further. That's Greg Holmes making contact further back as well at the S's, and everybody's going to pile in.
Oh, they are. Oh, and it's going to continue. There's no way that's stopping, and no one is there, and Greg's not happy, and still it happens. Still it happens as they continue to take hits. Let's take a look at the replay. See how easily this one goes into play. So here's the look off of the exit, and room given. Now it's through 2 and 3 where the key is going to be. You can see he's on the outside as he charges up through and in towards the next left. And is there just a squeeze? Oh, and he almost goes up and over. My word. So Greg Holmes, you know, that's just a case of drivers thinking they're clear, getting a call from their spotter that, okay, you might be clear, trying to funnel it back into line, and then, oh, that was a very errant hit there for the 77, who I don't think was quite paying attention there, Tony Vaselis.
Yeah, I don't think he quite...
Well, it still went on.
And it still went on as well, with a few others coming to grief with what was going on the track in the S's. But luckily, everybody's managed to clean it up and get back to the lane 3 wide, though, for the lead of this race. Moz Moroz is going to actually lead this race finally for the first time tonight.
Well, Moz has been so patient, sat there in third place. He's been like a stick in the mud, third place. You're always going to see him there. But he's finally got there with a little bit of help from Lee Harrison, who's decided, you know what, I'm done waiting around. We've got 4 minutes to go. He pushes himself up to second. He knows he's got to push right now because he's got Sonny Kanchan down the inside here. You can take a little look to that right here, pan it right potentially. You've got that opportunities coming in, and Kanchan making the big power play. Over now, there's a nice bit of seat for you. But Kanchan now into the race lead. Moroz back now into second place. They know they can't sit by and wait idly. And Kanchan's very nearly clobbered the wall out the exit of the final corner.
I think he actually just did briefly touch it on.
Yeah, look at the wing mirror.
Very, very close. That wing mirror is now looking a little bit sore, sore eyes, unfortunately, with it being a little bit hanging down. But it's going to continue to try and hold on for its dear life as they continue to do this race. It should be the 2 to go next time by, so not long left in this race. But a very, very big move by Sonny Kanchan there on that previous lap to take the lead.
And here's another thing. They've got to be so careful because the barriers are so close around this place. It's got that street circuit vibe to it. Everyone knows you have an incident. Everyone else is getting involved with it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As Moroz going to get the lead of this race once again. Glen Wood, though, looking around the outside of Lee Harrison and Moroz, but is he going to get that move done? He's going to try and use that middle line and that higher line on the exit, and it'll give him the momentum that he needs. Lee Harrison going to try and make it 3 wide on the way down the back straight and on the way down towards turn 6. He's not quite going to be able to get a move done, but he's going to look to the inside and he's going to get by Moz Moroz, and now Kanchan looking to stick the nose up the inside as well.
It's amazing what happens when you lose the backing of your horse, so to speak. Moz Moroz, no help from Lee Harrison, suddenly finds himself back there in third position as he also nearly tags the tyres there coming out of the final section. You can tell they're pushing right now. You can tell they're absolutely giving everything they can and a bit more. They've got 2 laps to figure this out. And again, Glenwood in control and every place mattering. And 5th and 6th now coming into it here. Mikulev is coming into play. And sorry, not 6th place, as that's Darren Linus just behind. But they know this is going to be a very tough battle. And they've managed to put the gap on Tom Huggan in 6th. And every battle now up and down going through. Here's a little look. 161 having to defend the 72. And Josh Maynard doing a great job. Leading rookie there, Dave Gogold there in 13th place even.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a very good job at the moment. Aaron Russell, though, a little bit further back down the order. Luckily managed to avoid that incident that happened later on in the S. He's up to 5 spots at the moment, so he's doing quite all right. But at the front, Glenwood has got the lead of this race as they're going to get the white flag this time by Harrison's found himself in second. Kanchan currently probably the best placed outside of Moz.
Well, here comes the charge. Harrison to the inside. Has he picked it up? Has he got enough? He's not clear, though. And this is the key. Glenwood can come back and attack this one in through the final corner. They'll lead themselves to the final lap. They'll give themselves everything they want and a bit more. And Harrison gets a really good drive. Kanchin now trying to give himself position. He's going to try and push Glen Wood into play. Moroz in fourth. Mikolev has been the quiet one in fifth. They start the final lap into the 90. They come along and up the hill. How do you manage an overtake of this proportion? They go up through the S's, through 2. Looking then to the left of 3 and the right of 4 is going to be the key. Who's going to get freight trained at what point? Who's going to lose out their ride at what moment? They know that they've got to be on the right place. Kanchin's going to try and make it 3 wide. We're on board with him right now as he goes through. It says bang on the rear fender as they go through. Moroz trying to push here. Lee Harrison, he gives a little tap, and that's enough to make sure it stays side by side. 3 wide all the way they're going to go here into that carousel. And Wood's going to try and search. Kanchin's going to be pushed out to the outside there. There was no room to go. Glen Wood on the inside took all the space away and made sure of it. Now Kanchin's trying to fight for 4th place. Oh, how visions of victory suddenly don't become visions of a podium. And it could have been 3 podiums out of 3. But Wood still has to hold on. Harrison trying to search for the inside. Moroz is going to have to also defend here in the fight for 3rd place. But Glen Wood, after his spin with 2 laps to go in race 2, he's going to get it back, and he's going to do well. Into the wall goes Harrison as well, and nearly a turn for Moroz. Moroz is going to hold on for 3rd. What a finish we've had here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, an absolute cracker finish to the night. You wouldn't have suspected that Glen Wood would have taken that win. You would have thought Kanchin was going to snatch that one away, but it wasn't to be. In at the end, it's still going on for this battle in 11th, 12th, 13th, but Stephen McMahon is going to be the one who's going to win out on this little battle. Joshua Mannard's going to come home in 12th with 13 to go, and McMillan in 14th.
Wow. Incredible racing once again, and they're fighting all the way, and this is still a fight for position, mind you. You got the 70, and these are important positions right now that we are focusing on at this point in time. Aaron Oliver, Aaron Russell, Mark Foster, they're all there. They all know they've got to fight for them here. Russell trying to go to the outside, trying to get it done. I wonder if it's part of the fact that our directors from Talking that we're watching this battle goes through the outside, trying to get this one sorted, and at least for the moment, trying to search on that inside Aaron Russell, but Oliver's going to get a great drive out to the exit. Respectful room given. And Aaron Oliver's going to steal that one away. So, great fight all the way to the end.
Yeah, very, very good fight in the end, and very, very critical championship points for Oliver as well. So he'll be happy with that. Same with Russell to finish this one at least somewhere rather than in the fence.
I certainly agree. Here's confirmation of result then. Glen Wood picking up the victory, does so by 6:06 over Lee Harrison, with Moz Moroz rounding out the podium. Scary moment towards the end there as he almost got turned out to the final corner by Sonny Kanchin. And give some credit to Lucas Mikolev, who kept himself well up in the fight in the 202 machine in 5th place. Tom Huggan managed to close over a second on that last lap to finish off in 6th place, with Brody Cook in 7th and Todd George in 8th place. Wayne Losh recovering after the incident in race 1. He got 9th, with Philip Paradiso rounding out the top 10.
And you're going to go over the page. Stephen McMahon in 11th. Joshua Mannard, Gogol, McMillan, and McKenzie to round out the top 15. Ashley Norman comes home in 16th, with Willits in 17th. Aaron Oliver and Aaron Russell in 18th and 19th, with Foster to round out the top 20.
Over to 21st, Marty Turner is there, and Anthony Connors, the last finish on the lead lap. A very, very aggressive last lap, or last race there, as over half of the drivers are a lap down or worse. Stephen Folks, Darren Linus, Luke Stasi a lap down, as well as Ben Ferguson. John Thorne and Darren Sharp were a lap down, as well as Richie Domingo, and as well as that, the 747 of Damien Seeger in 30th.
And you're going to go over the page to the final few drivers, and you're going to have Mark Johnson in 31st, Tony Visalis in 32nd, Brad Rodkin and Caleb Patterson, Graham Ellis in round out the top 35. Luke Claver comes home in 36th, with Matt Van Egmond being the final driver, one lap down in 37th. Greg Holmes, Wade McCulloch, I should say, and Ray Harrison round out the top 40, all 2 laps down.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're looking for great progress next time we are racing. Instead, Jesse White-Carrick had a disconnect. Terry Knowles, Joe Proctor, and now we're hitting retirements. Matthew Hansford-Taylor, every reason to be upset. He got reversed into coming out of the 90. Brenton Bull and Simon Smith in trouble, as well as Lockie Haverkamp and Carl Goodgut all in trouble as well in that final race. I don't think they took to the start too much as they went through, but we do have some drivers here that we have an opportunity to have a catch-up and a chat with. First and foremost, let's grab in a driver who picked up a podium there towards the end of that race 3. Moz Moroz in with us right now. Moz, you know, we saw you in third position for a lot of race 2 and race 3 as well. Just how difficult is it to try and make a pass or try and place yourself properly for the correct overtakes?
Yeah, it's almost impossible, really. I mean, if you do get a place, you're pretty much giving it up the next corner. I thought I'd just sit back and hopefully it'll turn out for me, and it did. So yeah, I was hoping for a top 10, to be honest.
Well, you got more than what you bargained for, which I'm sure you'll be incredibly happy about in the Pouch Racing team. So when you're racing up against some elite drivers in this series, the likes of Lee Harrison, Sonny Catchin, up there at the top, how much of a level of respect is given when you're out there driving? You see that a couple of drivers are pushing each other here and there, but how much room are you really giving to those sorts of established names?
Zero, really. Once you're up there, you're really looking to at least get a good position. So top 3, especially at the end of the race when I saw could turn out well for me. I think the main thing with these good guys is with these established races is when you are racing against them, it's actually much easier than some of the lower level drivers. You know exactly what they're going to do and which line they're going to take. So to be honest, it's actually much harder fighting in mid pack. So this was a little bit of a rest.
Well, a bit of a rest than maybe you may have, but going through 2 rounds of the season, today will be a really big boost moving forward. How do you feel this challenge is going to be as you look to line up towards the next stages of the season?
Yeah, I think we just need to pick it up from where we left off and just hope for the best again, get into the top 10 and see how it goes. I mean, just because, I'm getting podiums this week doesn't mean they'll turn up next week. So just, keep it clean and hopefully more points will come.
Ball keeps turning around here with our action around this brilliant series. Before we let you go here, Moz, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Simworx, SimSpeed, Wolfchester, Duo Trading, AMD Freight, KPT Haynes, Rinaldi Palmer's, Automotive Towing, and Phoenix.
Yeah, no worries at all there. Simworx Royal Rumble, 3rd place there for Moz Moroz. Every reason to be excited. Cam, you managed to catch yourself down the paddock and you found a Lee Harrison.
Yeah, not quite the start to the night that you would have hoped in the first 2 races, but at least came away with a podium in the 3rd one.
Hey, the second race was all right. I went from 30th to 9th or something, so I'm not going to complain with that one. But yeah, unfortunately, popped the raw end of the stick in the final lap of race 1. But that's racing. We had a good fun race up until then, and yeah, I mean, this track always makes for awesome racing, especially in something that's hard to break away from the pack like this. And unfortunately, I have a strong feeling that the podium won't stand at the end of the review process for race 3 there, because I got in the back of my teammate, which you never like to do, and caused a bit of a massive shunt.
Yeah, that's not too ideal at all. But this track obviously lends itself to a lot of draft racing, a lot of pack racing, that sort of stuff, where you've got drivers all skirmishing between each other across pretty much the entire race. Did you find it was hard to try and be a little bit patient with some drivers attacking behind you, or is it just all about timing your moves and making sure you're in the right position at the right time?
Yeah, you really couldn't plan too far ahead, to be honest. Like, the only plan that I had was to try and, in that first race especially, was just to try and be at the front when the last lap board came out. Yeah, it's hard, like you said, even with these cars, you can't even, team up with someone and bump draft them away from the field that are fighting. They just still catch right back up to you. So yeah, it was just about, being patient, picking the moves when they came. If you saw someone in your mirrors having a bit of a look, you just give them heaps of room. And I think the racing was pretty cool. It was pretty respectful in all the races that I was involved in. So hopefully it looked pretty cool for you guys on the stream as well.
Yeah, it was certainly very, very cool and very, very exciting all night long with those 3 races. Well, we head to Silverstone next week. Are we expecting similar sort of battles in terms of a lot of drivers being involved in packs, or can we possibly expect something a little bit different, do you think?
I think it'll be a little bit different. I think maybe more back to how it was at Charlotte, where you'll have a few breakaway packs, and then there'll maybe 3 or 4 guys get away at the front, and then there'll be another pack sort of chasing in behind. Silverstone obviously has got a few more heavy braking zones, and it's a little bit more technical than this Watkins Glen Classic track. So I don't think it's going to be exactly the same. I think we'll see more of what we had at Charlotte. But yeah, it's still going to be close. Plenty of long straights and fast corners will mean that it will be hard to break away, but there's still going to be the option to definitely get away if you can drive the wheels off the Mazda.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be very, very exciting to see what happens. Well, regardless, before we let you go, to shout outs and sponsors who it gets done.
Of course, Simworx simulators, they sponsor the league and do an amazing job for us. And like I said last week, it's always good to have the sponsors racing in the league as well. So one of them took away one of the wins there as well. So how good's that? Wolfchester, again, Glen took away an awesome win. So thanks to Wolfchester for supporting the series second time around, and Duo Trading as well. We've got their drivers on board. Can't thank them enough. AMD Freight, KP Tech, Haynes Constructions, Palmer's Australia. Again, my hands are getting a bit rough after another night on the sim after doing about 100 laps tonight. So I'll go and give them a wash and chuck some Palmer's skincare on them and get them nice and ready for my golf day tomorrow. Rinaldi, Automotive Towing, Phoenix Smokers, and last but not least, it comes down to you guys, SimSpeed, rocking up, putting on an awesome broadcast, and giving the guys and girls at home something to watch on Tuesday night. I suppose I did say last but not least, but it has to go out to Greg, Extreme Air Conditioning as well. Without his support and vision, the series doesn't happen, and all our wives and girlfriends for partners, whatever they may be, to let us sit on the sim and have some fun with some other like-minded individuals every Tuesday night.
Well, all the best for not only your golf day, but also the next round, Lee, and hopefully we talk to you again soon.
Fingers crossed, guys. Have a good night, and thanks again for putting on an awesome broadcast.
Well, I think we will grab Sonny Canchin real quick, and you're stood by with him, Speary.
I certainly am. Sonny, first, second, and fourth at a track which, by all intents and purposes, and the way racing was done tonight, was always going to be very hectic. Let's talk the end of race 1, because I think that's the key to how your night really got going. That move on the grass going into the outer loop, what was the thought process behind that?
Hi, Jake. First of all, thank you. Good to talk to you again and hear you. And it's been great racing the race 1. To answer your question, the move I made was actually, I had a glimmer of hope. To be honest, there was a little gap just before I actually committed to the move. If there was no gap, I wouldn't have. I would have been happy staying behind. But there was this gap, and I moved, and then I noticed it was getting more hairy. To be honest, it's like the defending, and then I just was committed, and I knew that I could keep it on track as much as possible. I hold on to it real hard, and I made it, thankfully. Yeah, and then that was a real move that actually helped me get on front to the lead, and then luckily I got in front. Yeah. So there was it.
How important has it been today to have that level of consistency? You were up fighting for the win in every race here today. You kept yourself out of trouble when drivers around you maybe weren't so fortunate. So how important has it been to just know where the limits are, using all of the time that you've spent in the car over the years to understand how this machine races and really take that experience into play?
Oh, it's been fantastic. A bit of luck still. Even though with all that experience, and it's been most importantly, it's been great racing with everyone in this league. Honestly, I was pretty much amazed by everyone's racecraft around me, especially in the top while I'm fighting with, and everyone's amazingly fast. And it's just evolution of of finding more speed and finding more limit and racing and having fun at the end of it all. So it's not enough. It never stops. And I'm coming back to racing in the league after a long time as well. So it's been a good break, and then I'm back now and finding a league like this and racing along with others and having fun at the same time. I must say I'm very fortunate to be doing so, and hats off to everyone involved.
Legacy Silverstone coming up, 2008 version of that track. So you could say it's a little bit of a classic that we head to next, and one that I'm not quite sure how you're going to find. Is this going to be one of those tracks which suits the Kanchin wheelhouse, or is this going to be one where you're looking at, okay, this is going to be a tough grind this week to get yourself up to pace?
I actually like the flow of Silverstone. I really love that track. There's really high-speed corners and all that, and it's also at the same time technical. So I love it. I just need to put more practice. So that's what matters as well. So even before every race, I take it very seriously and do a lot of practice. And for everyone involved as well to host sessions and jump in and learn and share all the secrets around how to race and knowing your opponents and all that stuff matters. That's what it is all about at the end. And I'm looking forward to Silverstone, to be honest.
Well, it seems that the excitement is shared between us here, Sonny. Before we let you go, who do you like to thank? It's a victory, a second, and a fourth place here today.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed. I'm looking forward to. I'm still a newbie in this league, but everyone's been so nice to me and kind and sharing and caring has been on top of everyone's list, and I'm loving it. So I'm looking forward to more racing and also knowing everyone involved. I would like to shout out to the organizers of this league and you guys who put in the time and effort to broadcast. I'm really enjoying the broadcast. And a quick hi to some of my mates who are watching this, and friends and family as well, I think. So they'll be loving it as well. So looking forward to more of such. And yeah, shout out to everyone in the league.
Support is certainly there for Sonny Kanchin, and the results certainly backed that up as well. Cam, you had a chance to find our winner of race 2. Aaron Oliver didn't have the best of luck in race 3.
Yeah, an up and down night for you, Aaron, but nevertheless, still points on the board at the end of the day.
Yeah, certainly, boys. It was a very interesting night, that's for sure. It's always a tough track, Watkins, Glen, being such a draft track and that, and it's all about positioning and timing and that. And we nearly had it in the first race, but we had a bit of a mechanical failure. I know it's weird to say in the sim world that you got a mechanical failure, but I've got my new Sim Magic wheelbase running at the moment, and it had a bit of a disconnection. I don't know what's going on with the wheel, and it just shot straight ahead on that corner, and it happened a couple of times during the race. So very sorry to Matthew Hansen-Taylor. That was my fault, mate. I didn't mean to do it. I'm really sorry. But yeah, race 2, it all came together in that we were up the front for most of the race and managed to grab the race win. And unfortunately, in race 3, between the teammates, Lee and I, we had a bit of a kerfuffle and didn't work out too well. But it's all right. We sorted out our issues in that, and we had a bit of a fight in pits, but we're all good now.
Yeah, obviously, this track being one of those tracks where draft is pretty much everything, and timing your moves and everything is quite important. Did you find it was hard to plan further ahead? Your teammates said it was actually all more about what was happening in the moment rather than planning your set race further up the road. Did you find that was a similar sort of thing, or did you find it was a little bit easier to plan ahead and sort of work to what you were trying to do later on?
Well, absolutely, Cam. You know, it was very hard tonight. You know, normally on a Tuesday night we'd be having a pit stop mid-race, but with the change of schedule and the 3 races this week, and taking out the pit stop, it sort of changes everything around how you go about your race. So, yeah, obviously you want to stay with that front pack and stay with them and try to stay as far forward as possible. But you don't really want to be leading on that last lap unless you go over a second gap to the car behind. So it was all about really setting up for that last lap and just being in the moment and keeping your nose clean and just surviving to those last few laps.
Yeah, absolutely right there. Well, we head to Silverstone next week for the next round. Any possible things you think could be interesting?
Well, Silverstone's an awesome track. You know, it's fairly long. It's one of our longest tracks on our calendar, that's for sure. So it's a very long lap, and with the current format, it's going to make for very short races unless something changes from now till then and we go back to our usual 30-minute races. It's certainly going to be a bit of a sprint, you know, and obviously you don't want to fall too far back around Silverstone, so it's going to be all about keeping your nose clean as always and just trying to stay out the front.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be all about being clean and consistent. Well, before we let you go, just any thanks and any shout-outs?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't get it done without the guys from Phoenix Smokers supporting us in the team this season, sorry. Extreme Air Conditioners, they get it done for us too, mate. Keeping us nice and cool while we're in our sim rooms. KP Tech, Penrod Oil, Joe Morano from Harcourt's Real Estate, Repco Australia, Murray Bridge World and Engineering Co, Revolution Rescue Adelaide, Live in the Dream Australia, Murray Bridge Batteries and Motivate Training.
There you have it, Sperry. A very, very reasonably happy Aaron Oliver, and all the best for next week, Aaron. Well, we head to Silverstone next week, Sperry, and it's looking like it's going to be a pretty exciting round.
Yeah, you can tell it's the legacy circuit. I'm sure that Abby hasn't been around in terms of that respect in a very long time, but this is a track which I'm sure everyone wants to be out there and making their own. And the only place you can catch it is with us at SimSpeed TV. If you haven't had the chance to already, you can like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content brought to you by the team here today, and so much more, of course, on the horizon. But massive thanks to everyone who gets it done for us. Firstly, the Virtual Racing School, our title sponsor of the replays that we have here, as well as AMD Freight, KP Tech, Haynes, you got there, Palmer's, Rinaldi, Automotive Towing, and Phoenix Smokers. Let's not forget Wolfchester and Duro Trading up there at the top. This has been the Simworx Roadster Rumble. This has been brilliant racing once again. Catching again will take some good progress here with the championship leaders. His foray back into league racing continues, but progress needs to be made from those drivers behind. Mistakes need to be cut out because perfection sometimes is a very tough order to go and match. We'll see you a little sooner than we think. A week from now is our next challenge, and we'll see you racing at Silverstone next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got rhythm. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go. Oh no.
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!